We're the most technologically advanced country in the world. So slowly but surely, we've been trying to take back the airwaves in Afghanistan against Taliban with the most primitive kind of communication equipment. Now, take that as one example where I don't think we were very competitive, and we have worked like crazy to change that. And then go to the most extreme where you've got a set of global networks that Al Jazeera has been the leader in, that are literally changing people's minds and attitudes. And like it or hate it, it is really effective. And in fact, viewership of Al Jazeera is going up in the United States because it's real news. You may not agree with it, but you feel like you're getting real news around the clock instead of a million commercials and, arguments between talking heads and the kind of stuff that we do on our news, which, is not particularly informative to us, let alone foreigners.
Well, fancy that. Of course, I happen to agree with her. Very much. Real news is being provided by Al Jazeera. That's right. They do provide real news, don't they? And that's the reason so many Americans went to the Internet, since Al Jazeera is very, very, very limited in this country where it concerns cable or satellite service. A lot of people went to the net to get real news. No right-wing, stupid-ass commentary, no arguments back and forth, no Glenn Beck, no Rupert Murdoch terrorist broadcast lying organization designed to destroy America. But as Hillary Clinton said that, I just, I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck go up because it was her husband who brought this about. It was her husband who signed the Telecommunications Act of 1996 that resulted in the concentration of media ownership in this country and resulted in where we are now. In 1983, there were approximately 50 major media companies in the U.S. 50. In 1996, 10. In 2005, 6. All as a result of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, the Consolidation Act, call it whatever you want. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary film Orwell Rolls in His Grave. Released in 2003, written and directed by Robert Kane Pappas. It covered topics including that Telecommunications Act of 1996, the concentration of media ownership, political corruption, the U.S. FCC, the controversy over the U.S. presidential election of 2000, particularly in Florida with Bush v. Gore, and the influence that the Rupert Murdoch terrorist organization, having employed a Bush cousin to assist in throwing the election. The film, Orwell Rolls in His Grave, previously aired on Free Speech TV. And according to Wikipedia, the film examines the current and past relationships between the media, the U.S. government, and corporations, analyzing the possible consequences of the concentration of media ownership. Making reference to George Orwell's novel 1984, the film argues that reality has met and in some ways exceeded Orwell's expectations about a society dominated by thought control, which is made possible by the media. According to the film, the mass media no longer report news, but manage it, deciding what makes the headlines and what is conveniently ignored, thus ultimately defining the framework upon which most other issues are discussed by society. The documentary is a critical examination of the so-called Fourth Estate. Boy, does that seem like an ancient term. Used to be the bastion of American democracy. Asked whether America has entered an Orwellian world of doublespeak, where outright lies can pass for the truth. Oh, for Christ's sake, just watch Fox News one day. The director, Robert Kane Pappas, explores what the media doesn't like to talk about, itself. Orwell rolls in his grave. So Hillary Clinton was right on the money. But I just wish somebody, wherever she was testifying, I have no idea. I really don't care a rat's ass about Hillary Clinton. I do not. She is a warmonger. She is as much of a fascist as anybody in the Republican Party. She is a corporatist. She is doing her part to destroy representative government in this country. But there she was, talking about something that her husband brought about. Now, is she responsible for her husband's actions? No, not at all. But shouldn't Mrs. Clinton have at least addressed the reality of why Al Jazeera presents news, for example, and American television networks and companies present garbage? Remember, Mrs. Clinton, the primary directive of television is to make us forget.